Hey, what's going on, guys? So I have been in love with Kirby since it came out just a couple weeks ago, really, I guess like a week and a half ago. And man, I have just 100% completed it. And usually I wouldn't do a video like this, like a follow-up kind of thing. I didn't really review the game. I more or less talked about the demo and how much I was looking forward to it. And, I really, like I said, enjoyed the heck out of it. I 100% beat it, just 100% beat it. And I was thinking about doing a video kind of telling what goes into 100%ing this game, because it's not really clear as far as what actually gives you percentage and what doesn't. I will say, because of the nature of this video, absolutely heavy spoilers. So it goes without saying that you're going to be seeing a lot of stuff, a lot of end game stuff. There's a lot of secret stuff in this game. So if you don't want to be spoiled about that kind of stuff, then, maybe go to the end. I'll tell you maybe how long it took me to beat it or something. But it's still very interesting. A lot to do in this game. I feel like this game is worth your money. But without further ado, let's get into everything that goes into completing Kirby and the Forgotten Land. So this game has like 2 endings, a final boss, a true final boss, and then like a secret final boss that's kind of tied to a secret match. But like I said, what all gets you the percentage for the complete status of this game? Really, what criteria completes this game? And that is, it's a little not clear in some cases. But I'm going to try to suss through that right here with you guys today. First off, there's the actual levels, and they can kind of be broken into 3 types. There's the action stage, a trial kind of stage, and the boss stages. So simply enough, action stages are what you think they would be, right? They all have basically some tasks, and in the end, the main point is to just beat the level and get the 3 Waddle Dees. However, there are different missions for every level. A lot of the common ones are obviously every level has find blank amount of hidden Waddle Dees throughout the level. Usually it's like 3 to 5, something like that. And then there's usually maybe 3 to 4 more secret missions, and those could be anything from finding hidden spots, maybe eating food hidden throughout the level, usually beating like a mid-boss with a specific power or maybe ability, or maybe not taking damage. And then, stuff like that. But also, within the action stages, there are hidden collectibles, right? There are blueprints, which I'll talk about here in a little bit, and collectible figures. Those also add to the percentage of the game, so you need to make sure to find them, blueprints especially, because they are specific to their location. However, the figures aren't so much specific to specific levels. Once again, getting that into a second, but first let's talk about the blueprints. So the blueprints allow you to upgrade weapons. They are either hidden in a stage, or they're a reward for beating a mid-boss of a stage, or for beating the final boss of an area. Here's kind of just some examples of weapon evolutions. However, 2 of them are a little bit special. That said, these are obtained in the levels, and you upgrade the weapons with these rare crystals that you get throughout some other stages. Once again, kind of touch on that in a little bit, but upgrading the weapons is part of the criteria for completion. The other collectible I talked about is the figures, and these are definitely part of the overall percentage, and probably they are going to be the last thing you do in this game as far as finishing it out. 95% of these figures come from either random levels or a little gacha machine that unlocks as the game completes. As you beat more bosses, more gacha machines come up for the different volumes of figures. And you can get them that way. You can just get money and crank the machine and get them that way. However, there are some that you get for doing certain tasks, like beating matches in the Coliseum, or doing certain things in the town itself as the town progresses. Anyway, so figures are, like I said, probably gonna be the last thing you do, because at the end you're gonna be missing X amount of figures, and there's certain ways to get them that may make your life a little easier. Once again, I'll touch on that a little bit later. Back to the levels though, the next type are the trial stages. They appear in one of 3 ways: either beating a level, or finding all the Waddle Dees in a level, which means that a fully completed level will spawn 2 of these on the main map. And then sometimes while flying around the map, you'll get the option to search by pressing a button, and those will either give you a coin or one of these levels will pop up. These stages are what give you the rare stones, which are used to evolve the weapons and can later be used to upgrade weapons. I will say that you can upgrade weapons in the end game. All they do is increase the damage of the weapons that make maybe beating bosses easier, but they are not needed for 100%ing the game. The percentage does not increase at all for the weapon upgrades. Not different, which is different from evolving the weapons, but the actual upgrades. Anyway, the other thing you can use these crystals for are getting a missing figure from your list in the collectibles, but that I will also touch on later in the town. Anyway, there are 2 parts to the trial. There's just beating it, which does getting you a percentage, but then there's like a challenge, like a time threshold, and I can't speak to if this gives percentage or not, because the percentages, if they do give them to you, are so low that it didn't change. As in, like, I would beat a level and I'd need the time threshold and I'd go back and I'd beat it within the time, and my overall percentage didn't change, which isn't to say that it doesn't, but I will say that definitely doing 1 or even 2 of them isn't enough to get a whole percentage. So I am sorry about that. I personally did it just because I liked the challenge, and all for, except for like 2 of them, were pretty easily doable. A lot of them you actually do while you're trying it the first time, but usually you do it once, you learn how the level is, you go back through and you'll get a really good time. So that's definitely something you should consider when doing these levels. And the final level type is, of course, a boss stage, and they're what you expect, a boss fight. But they do have challenges too. Usually it's using a certain type of ability to beat a boss. It's always win with a certain time. And then the worst one is don't get hit. Each one of them has a don't get hit, except for the very final bosses. But I will say that you can change the difficulty to at any time, and it does not hinder your unlocking of anything, so you can switch to the easy difficulty. That said, I actually only changed my difficulty once, and that was to get one of these don't get hit achievement type things, but it was wasted on me because what I learned was the moves are the exact same from the boss, it's just the damage is different, and since you're trying not to get hit at all, like literally it didn't do anything. But that said, if for some reason lowering the difficulty would help you earn something, you can, and it will not affect anything. Now, unlocking the Waddle Dees does a few things. Of course, gives you the percentage, but it also lets you face bosses. You can unlock secret figures, which unlock the more you unlock in the town. Also, unlocking Waddle Dees unlocks more of the town. In the town, you can actually unlock a theater to view cutscenes. There is a post office that lets you use codes for gifts that you get online. There's, of course, the weapon shop, which I've shown before, where you can upgrade weapons and get new weapons. There's like a food shop where you can carry food with you and eat mid-level to kind of re-heal. There's a power-up shop that also is this very similarly used like the food, but it gives you more speed or more attack. And there's a boss rush style arena, which lets you kind of earn different stuff and also will unlock some of those secret figures for beating them the first time. There's a fishing minigame that's pretty fun and a really good way to earn money, especially in the end when you're trying to use the gacha machine and get some figures. And there's a ball rolling minigame, which I am not a fan of, but you do have to beat it all for completion's sake, because beating all 3 will get you another one of those little figures. As you progress through the story, like I said, you will get more and more gacha machines, as well as this little Waddle Dee who will trade you rare stones for missing figures. So since the rare stones are so hard to get, it's a guaranteed figure you're missing. Best to keep that near the end when you only have like 1 or 2 left, if you do want to go that route. However, after you get all 300 Waddle Dees, you get these 2 statues that are in the main area, and I guess they kind of look cool. But yeah, so that's in the main game. You beat the main game, and there's 300 Waddle Dees, and that's what goes down. Now, after you beat the main game, 2 things will happen. 1, you'll get a sound test area, and for that, you also can invest 1,000 coins, and then later 2,000 coins to unlock all the music. And yes, this does contribute to the percentage, because this is how you get one of the hidden figures. But also, some of the previous bosses are now good, and they cannot find the final boss of the game who supposedly turned good. Now that unlocks a new area called the Isolated Isles, and this is officially the end game. Also, at this point, don't be alarmed at your overall completion percentage, because I thought that I had I'd unlocked everything, 300 Waddle Dees, what the hell? And I was only at like 55% complete. So a lot of this has to do with missing figures, because at this point when I was playing, I had not gotten like all of them. I hadn't cranked on the gacha machine a whole bunch. I just had like a ton of coins. I just hadn't taken the time to do it. But anyway, the next part is the end game, like I said, the Isolated Isles. Now, the Isolated Isles consist of levels that are based on the worlds that you just beat. You just have to go through and collect pieces of the original final boss's soul. Like the Waddle Dees, there are 300 in total. Granted, you only need 250 to fight the true final boss, but 300 is needed for 100% completion, so they do keep track on each level how many there are. Plus, anytime you're in an area, when you collect all the souls in that area, you'll actually be told by Elfin, like, hey, you got them all, why don't you go into the next spot? So that's kind of nice too, makes it a little bit easier. But anyway, these are mainly just remixes of the main levels from the main game. Then after getting all the souls, you get to fight the true final boss in both of his forms, which is the possessed version of the original final boss from before, and an enemy called Morpho Knight. Beating them both gets you percentage, and the ability to get the Morpho Sword. So, the two weapons I was talking about earlier, there are two weapons that have a level 4 version. One is the Morpho Sword, which is like the 4th version of the sword, really strong, really cool. And then the last one is like a dual hammer that you get from the possessed version of DDD. This also has a lot of fire to it, really strong, extremely powerful. One thing I did want to bring up here now that we're talking about weapons, this will help you beat a lot of these final bosses. Really, I wish I had known this sooner, because they don't really tell you at all. But the final version of the ice weapon, well, first off, every weapon in this game has the ability to guard. You press the shoulder buttons on your controller and you can block. And it just takes chip damage, but the ice one specifically makes a shield where you take no damage. So if you're having problems fighting any bosses, or maybe trying to get that like, hey, I don't want to take any damage thing, the ice weapon itself isn't the most damage dealing weapon. It's kind of hard to use, because you have to, really hone in on an enemy, but the guard is like 100% blocks anything more or less thing. So there's a few attacks in the game it doesn't block, but I mean like a very, very few. Anyway, after all of that, you should only have 2 things left to do, and that is beating the Secret Arena Challenge and collecting the figures. I'm not going to show the final boss of the Secret Arena Challenge, because to be honest, it's very hard to get there and I don't want to do it again. But it's also very cool for the overall story, because it's kind of weird. It's a true final boss. Like, you take the final boss that you fought in the Isolated Isles and then take it one step further to like a true, even beyond that, and it is kind of a little bit to the story, but it is like not. It's really interesting, I will say. I don't want to spoil the experience for you because it's really cool. But the last thing is literally just sinking your money in the gacha machines, mashing A on the corresponding machine to get the last figures, which all are tied to percentage. There's like 200 something of them. But anyway, when you get down to the expensive ones, the 100 coin ones, I personally traded stones for like the last few, because it is random what you're gonna get. And like when I only had 3 left and I was like running low on coins, like, who knows if you're gonna get those 3. So I just used 3 of the rare stones with the tradey Waddle Dee guy and got them, no biggie. But that's it. I mean, I think for full 100% completion, it took me like in the low 20s of hours, maybe the high teens, not too bad. I only, like I said earlier, I only changed the difficulty to try to beat that don't take damage mission, and then I realized it was pointless. So to me, it was very, very easy. But yeah, the last thing you get for beating everything are these pictures on the wall. There's like 10 of them, and all of them represent milestones. However, the pictures don't start popping up till you beat the true endings, and at that point I had already gotten like almost all the pictures. So they kind of just all appeared at once for me. But it's kind of cool. It's a neat little completion bonus. Really the main completion bonus is seeing the true secret final boss in the arena, and all the figures, and the 2 kind of special weapons. But it's still a pretty cool ending to to what I think is a really great game. So like I said, that was everything that it takes to get the 100% on it. I know I just said it, but in case you did skip to this part from the beginning, I think it took me like I was in the early 20s of the hours, maybe high teens. But it was a great time. Like, there wasn't one time where I felt like I wasn't progressing and earning something. It was great. But hey, what have you guys been doing? Have you been playing this game at all? If you have, were you in there with the completionist mindset? Because obviously, you know, I just couldn't not do that. Because the game was like, it's a good, like, early completionist game for maybe like someone with kids or something. It's a game that really, with a little bit of dedication, you can get through and get the 100% on it, but you don't have to, like, you know, break your mind trying to do it. But anyway, let me know if you're playing this game, if you're trying to 100% it. Let's just very interested to see what everyone's views on Kirby is. Hey, that's gonna do it for us today, guys. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for subscribing. If you haven't, please do. It would be fantastic. But as always, my friends, take it easy.